now to focus on education. A lot's happening there because the Ministry of Education says, although there are some disruptions in the food supply chain for senior high schools across the country, immediate steps are being taken to address the situation. Take a look at this. That's the video that has been going viral. And of course, the assurances are definitely coming in that wake of this fresh reports that we're getting that there are obviously an imminent shutdown which will be happening in the coming days in relation to senior high schools, owing to the fact that students are poorly fed on campus. So the footage you have now has since gone viral on social media to suggest that there is indeed some form of a reduction in the quantity of food and also protein giving to students on campus. In fact, some parents are actually asking government at this point to immediately consider measures that will address the situation. So definitely what we'll do is that we'll be getting the concerns of parents shortly. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry is actually denying that report that schools are about to shut down. In fact, it says that it has the situation under control. So let's bring you excerpts of that statement released by the Ministry of Education earlier today. And there you have it on the screen, indicating that the Ministry of Education has noted with surprise the news publications and media discussions which purports an imminent closure of some senior high schools due to the shortage of food. Specific reference were actually made to some schools in the Volta region. The ministry actually wishes to place on record that our checks reveal adequate supply of food items have been made to these schools in question. Now, the Ministry of Education, however, takes cognizance of the fact that although there are some disruptions in the food supply chain, some steps are being taken to address the concerns. The ministry wishes to assure the public of its commitment and willingness in providing a quality and timely supply of food items to all senior high schools. And we entreat the public to disregard such reports. So let's take a listen to the Education Ministry PRO. The Deputy PRO has been speaking and giving some updates at the ongoing Education Week.
The media was reporting of food shortage. And what was surprising was that we had, within the week, engaged with CHARS, Regional Directors of Education, Buffer Stock Outfits, the Free SHS coordinators, who actually picked data on the ground. So when we heard of the news, we were astonished. So we needed to do a check on the grounds whether there could be any affirmation to what we are hearing within the media space. But it turned out to be negative. And then the media, produced a letter dated 30th September, purporting to be coming from the Volta region about a seeming food crisis within the schools, specifically from Avetime. And the statement, what the letter purported to say was that within a week from that end, if they don't see any change, they have no option than to close the school down. So we know from our outfit that just last week, consignment of food were sent to the various regional buffer stock outfits for onward delivery to the schools. And we know from the information, from the reports, from the engagement from CHARS, when we talk of CHARS, we are referring to the headmasters, giving us up-to-date information as to what they have received and how it is being used. So we weren't expecting that news from the media. All of a sudden, it sprang on us. And that is why we came out with that statement. And let me put it on record again. There is no food shortage in any secondary school in this country. There is no food shortage in any secondary school in this country. We've given enough for the period. What we are doing now is every 2 weeks, we do send food to the various schools. So that has been the plan for the past 1 month. So it will be a surprise to us that a region or a school will complain of food shortage. And I want the general public to be assured that everything that we must do to create conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning is what we are focusing on. And one critical aspect within our secondary school space has got to do with feeding. We will feed our kids morning, afternoon, evening.
So let's put all of these claims to a test. Joining me in studio now is Yao Poku Mensah, Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, joining us. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the Pulse. It's been a busy week for the Ministry of Education. We're in the Education Week, and then this footage has gone viral on social media. It's caused you to actually respond to provide some update on what you're doing to deal with food shortage in senior high schools. You say that immediate steps are being taken to address the situation, and I heard you there in the video talking about last week some deployments that have been made in terms of food items to various schools across the country. What official reports do you have on how far the distribution has gone, and are you able to give us some data on that?
What currently pertains on the ground is what we distributed, and I can tell you on authority, specifically with the school, that the name that came out, specifically with a letter which was...
Have you identified the school in the first place?
Yeah,
we know about the school.
The media
right.
showed some letters.
Okay, right.
I, for one, it's Alavenyo Senior High School.
In the Volta region. Okay, right.
And the letter is dated 30th September. That was where the 13 there was issued. But within that space up to now, we haven't heard of any closure of schools within our space. It tells within the period that we set for ourselves, every 2 weeks we do review. We do take responses from heads of schools per the association, that is the child's outfit, from the regional to the national outfit. And we take reports from regional directors, regional free SHS coordinators, plus buffer stock outfit on what we are doing. So by the close of the week, within the 2 week interval, the minister will summon that meeting together with GS officials and GT vet officials to give us an up-to-date report as to the full situation.
Okay, so what you deployed last week was in response to what exactly?
No, it's a normal thing that we do. Okay. It's a normal thing that we do.
Yeah, but do you have reports? Because you agree with me, this is not the first time we're having this report of shortage in schools, and I'm sure that that has also come to your attention. Charles, about 3 months ago or 2 months ago, was raising similar concerns about the buffer stock and some shortage within the system. So if we're having this consistent sort of reportage, what do you have, I mean, in terms of evidence from your suppliers that indeed the food stock is going to the various schools that you've deployed?
We are on the ground ourselves. The free SHS outfit, which is a secretariat, is on the ground themselves, and they come out with these reports. Okay. And for example, just some 2-3 weeks ago, Free SHS Secretariat sent a team outfit to Volta region to ascertain what actually was the issue in there. And we got the understanding what the issues are.
Okay, so tell me about the issues, because once we identify the issues, we'll be able to effectively solve them. Yes. Is it lack of due diligence on the part of your officers, or what exactly is the case?
No, that is why in the interaction I said that we were astonished as to the report which were coming out. And surprisingly, when we got to know the letter was dated somewhat, and what we have done shouldn't even have warranted what was in the media. But what occasion that I can't speak to it. But the assurance is that if you go across the length and breadth of the country, in every secondary school in this country, there are enough that has been given out just last week. And it's not as if I was being reported to that I should go and speak on this. I was in that meeting. I heard reports that came from the regional directors plus regional charge presidents. And they were giving information as to what has been supplied, and buffer stock was telling them what was on the way coming, that they have to go to their designation point to take these goods. And that has been the consistent practice now, because the minister is a parent, and it will sadden his heart that he sent his ward to school, and the next minute it's being reported that he's being starved to what? Starved to death. And that is what we cannot entertain. That is why it became prudent that every 2 weeks we need to meet. Let us see what actually it is pertaining and what we can do immediately.
If there's something that the ministry is not, I mean, opening up on, it's the fact that you've been criticized for kind of centralizing this whole food distribution system. The belief is, I mean, give it back to the heads of the various institutions. It will make the process much more easier.
That is not the case. What the ministry, through the implementation of the free SHS, was done. Or for example, if let's say you had the only royal school in Ghana, which is Osechuche Senior High School. You are the headmaster. Now, the system was that the supplier that was supplying with these items, we don't change them. You bring your own supplier. What the only change is that payment is done at the central level. So 70% of the food, 18 items which are eaten in our schools, 30% for perishables, and the other aspect has got to do with where buffer stock supplies. For example, the milks, the rice, etc., comes from buffer stock outfit, and the supplier that you know is what buffer stock deals with. So it's not as if we have taken. The only difference is that the money isn't in your hands to be going to the market to be looking for these items. Your duty as a head is to stay in the school, do that management aspect, so that we can have better learning outcomes, and that is what has resulted in the 2-year running, the results that we see. And we want to deepen it to have a better outcome than the 2 that we are seeing currently. So we don't want anything to be on the shoulders of the head to be thinking as to what to do. You are there, the food is supplied, you manage the school, that you give the outcome that is deserving of the school that you headed. So that has been the practice. Nothing has changed within that. For example, if you go to the dining, I believe when you were in school, secondary school, you were entitled to 2 ladders. You were paying, but you were entitled to 2 ladders, true or false?
I don't intend to go into that right now.
I was entitled to.
Okay, maybe that's your school.
No, when I was in
maybe that's your school.
I was entitled to 2 ladders.
Right.
That is what pertains in our secondary schools.
So you're saying these students, I mean, they should just keep up with the 2?
No. For a table, 12 also, then at time 12 also, we were paying. 12 also, we sit around the table, there's a table head, probably a senior who does the same.
So you know about the situation.
Yes.
Sometimes you may not get the 2. But the challenge, but I mean, what's unique about this video that we have is that if you take a look at the video, I mean, the quantity of the food has reduced.
No. Take a critical look at the video again.
Right.
You get to realize that this is more than 2 ladders. This is more than 2 ladders.
I mean, so we have the video on the screen. Right? Just look at this. I mean,
just look at this.
Yeah. I mean, look at the quantity of the food. Look at this. Look at this.
But
this is reality dawning on the Ministry of Education. You're simply not accepting the fact that
is not the case.
Yes, we're facing some challenge in terms of the supply.
When we were paying,
right? Look at and just look at the protein. Just look at that.
Wait. But you need to understand what is in the book.
No, that's it. That's what we're seeing. Just look at it yourself.
This. Do you remember what was termed as rice gas? Do you remember that food, rice gas?
Yeah.
So were you receiving? No,
but at least look at the protein. Look at the fish.
It tells you that this table is lucky.
But this is the video.
It tells you that this table is lucky. Why? Because probably the fish that was used in preparing the stew, this table finds itself to have probably an aspect of part of the fish in there, and that is what it tells you, that it is not a senior who will take that fish away as his own. So generally,
I don't recall taking this in senior high school. I need to state the facts.
But I'm
not sure you also recall taking this in senior high school.
No, I don't recall taking rice gas while I was given a fish. I don't recall that.
In your senior high school?
Yeah, that is what pertains. That is what pertains.
But okay.
So there are food items that goes with either fish or meat. Within that space, or sardine, you get the full complement of what you deserve.
And I need to ask you about the investigation. When you carried out the investigation, what were you told about what we're witnessing in that video? What were you told about that?
No, specifically, we're having to look at this video. I just saw it, this video. I think I saw it a couple of days ago.
Yes.
So I needed to understand actually what was happening in there.
Yes.
So that is why I'm able to tell you that when we were in school, we were eating what we described as rice gas. And within that rice gas, that protein element wasn't part of what we were fed. But what I know is that any food item which comes with either fish, sardine, or meat, or chicken is given out, or egg is given out to the student. So if we are to use this as a test case to generalize it, then I think we are pressing the panic button of that shouldn't be the case.
You feel so?
Yes, strongly I feel so. Because you know what? I'm not just speaking for the Ministry of Education. I'm a practitioner of the policies that they roll out. I just came out from the classroom. I was in a senior high school. I know what pertains in there. I visited dining halls. I know what is served at the staff common room. The same food that the kids eat. Teachers eat same. So I'm able to speak to the video that I see that this is what they are eating. That is what we in our olden days termed as rice gas. And we're not, it wasn't as if everybody, the 12 was entitled to a fish. Probably that table was lucky to have that portion of fish dropped into their stew. And they are as fair, all members of the table should benefit from it. And that is basically what they are doing. If the camera had gone to the other tables, you get to realize that they wouldn't have found any fish in any table again. So we need to understand that. But my difficulty has got to do with the generalization of what we are describing.
You feel it's not fair for this to be the verdict?
It's very unfair. It's very unfair. Over 600 and something senior high schools. We can take our cameras to visit them and see what do they eat. Does it correspond to what we are watching? Or when do you eat fish? When do you eat meat? When do you eat egg? When do you eat chicken? Then we can come back to fairly conclude that.
But it is instructive to note that even in your own statement, the statement you issued, you clearly pointed out that there are some disruptions in the food supply chain.
Definitely.
Okay, so what's the gap in terms of the food supply chain?
You know what? As I indicated, I said 18 different food items are served in the schools. Now, it's normal that 1 or 2 items may be out of stock of a school. But that does not mean that there is no food in the school. What happens is that you can't follow your normal menu just because that food item probably is missing. For example, let's say if I'm to take Tom Brown today and I don't have Tom Brown in my stock, that does not mean that I can't serve breakfast. Cocoa will be there.
Right.
Milo drink will be there for me to use. So that is how the disruption that in our statement.
That's what you were pointing out.
Yes, because if one item is in there, it means that you don't have a whole until that item is replaced. That is where you can revert back to your normal.
Okay, so do we know what the Education Ministry will be doing now, going forward, giving this report and other, complaints that are coming through? In fact, some of the parents earlier we caught up with were complaining. We'll bring that to you later. But it appears there's some sort of anxiety on the part of parents who want to know what the authorities will be doing in the coming days to address this.
It's what you are reporting. It is what you are reporting. That is why I said that we don't need to press the panic button. It is what you are. If I'm a parent and I begin to hear stories of there is no food in school, I'll get worried. Now, what parents normally do is to place a call to either the housemaster or the formmaster. Is this true? And the verdict is given out, that is not the case. But again, you've never reported that in the morning, students were denied breakfast. Afternoon, they were denied lunch, or evening they were denied something.
Yeah, but you should be mindful of quality as well. This is a school we're talking about. So
I'm very careful.
I'm not sure you would want to downplay the quality as well. It's also equally important when the conversation comes up.
Dietitians sit and plan the menu that is served within our various senior high schools.
Yes.
They make sure that the items that they take are balanced diet. Probably you're thinking of what protein pertains.
Right.
It's not what they look at. For example, you will be comfortable.
So in this video, you have a fair representation of protein.
You'll be comfortable probably with the meat, but the dietitian will tell you no. There is an aspect of meat, protein. Dawa probably is more nutritious than what we are.
Yeah, but in this video, there's no dawa. I don't see dawa here.
I'm giving you examples of protein.
Right, okay.
But again, I think just one day, just follow me up to a secondary school. Let's go, because minister normally visit schools unannounced. I've been with him on different trips. We go to a school unannounced, and by the time the headmaster realizes, or whoever manages the kitchen, minister will be sitting and be eating the food with the kids. Why is he doing that? Just to have a fair-hand information as to what actually is served in our schools. And none of them, I believe you've seen some of the pictures, none of them. You get in there, you see the excitement around the faces of these young learners. And so that is why I get worried when I begin to hear reports of there is shortage. Yes, we do acknowledge that 1 or 2 items may be out of stock in a particular school, but that cannot be generalized. That in our secondary schools, there's no food, and schools are going to close.
Right. So let's broaden the conversation now. I want to bring in the free senior high school because we're equally in the education week. You launched that with an address by the senior minister, Yao Safumafo. Then he brought up the issue about the IMF conditionalities and the possibility that the free senior high school policy may be affected. He says government is still negotiating and will ensure that no aspect of the policy is touched or changed, even in the wake of the austerity plan. Is government having that fear, or the ministry having that fear, that the policy may have to be reformed in the wake of the economic crisis that we have?
No, I think it's an assurance statement that the senior minister gave out to the good people of Ghana. Because again, you sit around your TV or radio, there'll be a discussion. People will review free SHS, it's so huge. Government can't pay. Why don't you take that out of your budget to free space for other development? Then government will have to assure the good people of Ghana that this particular intervention that we see as the transformational leg to wherever this nation aspires to be, that should be protected. So once the conversation keeps going, that you need government to assure the good people that that is not what we are doing. And that is basically what the senior minister did. I believe in education, that education should be the transformational leg for where government, the destination that Ghana wants to get to, especially looking at the current reform that is emanating from our outfit. You look at STEM, you look at the introduction of TVET, where we have a standalone agency for TVET, invested over 1 billion Ghana cedis to ensure that we have enough equipment within our TVET space to train our young people for the world of work. STEM again, bringing out innovation and critical thinking aspect within our learning space. Then if you are doing all these, you ask yourself to what end? Remember, when we talk of education, education seeks to train 3 domains, the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor. That is what makes you the whole individual fit within the sociological system that you do.
All this you're saying is fine, but then the economy is staring the policy in the face.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you are a father, this is what we do, even not a direct question to you. Parents are ready to sell their cloth to pay the fees of their what? Why? Why do they do that? When especially they don't even have money to feed, but they want to sell their precious items, to ensure that their children do have befitting and better education. Why? Because we are looking into the future. The old generation are going. What does the future hold for us? It is now that we need to start. And we can only go as far as where others, our colleagues, started from and where they've got into. That can only be achieved.
In fact, this statement will be welcomed in the context of the free senior high school if it were the case that access is open to every single Ghanaian child. But you know, and the figures will speak to it, that you haven't completed the leg of access. So now we're still having lots of people who are not able to go into senior high schools simply because of the issue of access. So you do agree that there's some challenge there. It's not as though, yes, it's free, the policy is free, but access remains a key challenge. That's a fact that you cannot deny as the Ministry of Education in this rollout of the free SHS.
Here you need to look at the numbers as to what used to be the situation then and now. Before the implementation of free SHS, you could get an average 120,000 students who get the opportunity but wouldn't go. Others are denied on the basis that there is no space for you. Currently, what is the situation? The situation is that whoever do qualify do have that space to go and sit in the classroom to learn, either in the TVET space or either in the grammar secondary school space. So government in itself, looking at the access, has expanded a lot. It's got to do with, for example, you get the opportunity, we cannot force you to go to school. It becomes a personal decision, plus your family, whether you want to continue within that aspect or not. So with access, we've been able to expand that scope. And that number that you talked about, so many people, that is where you have to, I think you look at the numbers as well. One, others probably may travel, 1 or 2 issues, etc. But the numbers, the 120,000 that we used to know, reduced to 20,000, 35,000, then it tells you that government is making huge achievements. So if we want to deepen the numbers, then we need to deepen the education.
I'll use the word of Kofi Asare, the Africa Education Watch. He was here earlier this week at the start of the Education Week. He says that government is quote-unquote obsessed with the free senior high school policy. You're not welcoming fresh ideas to improve the policy. And obviously, that's not healthy for the system.
So that is why we have an Education Week. The Education Week is an opportunity for all stakeholders, including civil society organizations, implementers of the policy, staff of the ministry, the minister himself, deputy ministers and directors of all other agencies, to sit around the table, conforming to your KPIs, giving report as to what we are doing, how we are achieving them, and what can be done to better the system. And becomes an open forum. Just before I left there, it was an open forum. We were taking reports from regional directorate. They tell us what they are doing there, the challenges therein, and what can be done to salvage the situation. So every year, it becomes a refresh page for us to look at what we did, what can be done to achieve moving forward. So basically, this is a platform that anybody, and it's open to the general public, including civil society organizations. Yesterday, I was with Peter Anti, and they do presentation of papers. They go into groups to do group work, analyze what pertains within the space and what can be added on. And it will interest you to come and listen to the ideas, even from students themselves. Students are participating. Just before I left, a student was asking about sexual harassment in relation to guidance and counseling issues. And all these are embraced as part of what we want to see next academic year. Then we put all these together and it becomes a working plan for the ministry, for the implementing agencies to work with. So this is a platform. Parents are invited, students are invited, the general public plus the media. You can come and share your ideas. You can come and listen to what is happening. But at times, please let us stop pressing the panic button within the media space.
Well, I'm not sure if it's JoyNews, but anyway, Yao Pokumesa is Deputy Spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, speaking to us here on the concerns you've seen. But this afternoon as well, staff of Metro Mass Transit Limited are equally calling for immediate measures and the immediate removal of the Managing Director and two deputies for what they term as gross incompetency in running the company. According to the workers, monthly deductions of their welfare contributions and loan repayment deductions at source are in arrears to the tune of some 300,000 Ghana cedis. My colleague Michael Ni Ashale has been engaging some of the workers. We can listen.